Well, all right, we're going to get started into this. Get the cases done and what have you. And we're going to want to heat them up to around 200, 250. You want to, 225 would be really what you want to do. And you have got to heat them very well and evenly. And it's very important to do it evenly as you can. A hot plate like that, and that's all that is, a laboratory hot plate, or a toaster oven set on 225 works good, you know, if it's big enough to accept it. But they drop right in there. You don't have to press them, you don't have to beat them or anything, and you take them out the same way too. So, and it is that easy. On this case, you got two bearings. So we're going to put two bearings in it. You can tell this thing, the temperature control on it doesn't work. It goes critical every time you turn it on, but it's fine for this because I'm monitoring the heat on the cases. And yeah, we're going to put two bearings in this one. You got your output shaft or your sprocket shaft bearing and your inner case bearing. So you have to hold this one up by the stud bolt, the cylinder studs, until it cools down a bit and the bearing heats up, or they'll fall right out. So that one went right in. I'm going to pick it up and we're going to put this one in that's got a seal on one side, and you kind of have to be careful, but they go right in, and that's the way to do it. And you have to hold on to it. Now here we're going to set the thrust or the end play or whatever on the crank thrust, crankshaft end play. When I originally checked it with the, and you'll see, when I checked it with the calipers, I got like 9. And then I had some shim, and I had a shim that was like a 7. So that's pretty much what I went with. And all I'm doing right now is tightening the case up, and we're going to check it. And like I said, I checked it with a caliper. And what I did was, and you can see it move, I put the stem of the caliper down there, and I actually eventually I just pushed the crank all the way down with the body of the caliper, and then that registered the 9. So very easy to do. You can get a measurement, push it, and then go back and get the measurement again. Excuse me. And then that way you can figure it from there. And we had 9,000 end play. And like I said, we're going to take the cover of the cases apart. This is how I do it. This is not how you should do it. This is how I do it. Maybe I'm a little more, I don't know. I don't know what a good word for it is. Crazy, maybe. I don't know. But I'll take this out. I'll put the shim on the magneto side. And this shim was bent a little bit, and I had to find a flat spot on it, but I finally found a flat spot on it, and it was right around 7. So I hope y'all doing really good out there. Another thing I want to tell y'all right off the bat is Merry Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So I'll just be putting the case back together with a gasket and everything else like it would have been normally put together. Snug them up, and then I'll check the end play again, and I literally had just a hair's breadth of end play, not much. It's really almost impossible. I was trying to get it, but it's really impossible to feel, and it turns very easily, very smooth. So I was pretty happy with that. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the case apart again. And y'all probably say, Jesus. take the case apart again, and I'm going in there with some Optima Super Gray or Ultra Gray, and the gasket, and I'm gonna seal the case up. This is the final sealing of it. And this is the motor that the gentleman brought me from Texas, and I swapped out the engine series motor for it. And so I'm just basically rebuilding this motor back. And like I said, I use Q-tips, and they're disposable, and you can get a really nice even coat on them, or on the cases, without a whole bunch of squish out and stuff like that. Q-tips do work good. And I'll put another coat on top of this, and then I'm gonna bolt the two halves together. And there you go. I do want to remind y'all, the last Saturday of the month is we go live for Shop Talk at 6:30. At 6 Central Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's the last Saturday every month. I think that'll be the 30th of this month. I'm not sure. But y'all come check it out, say hello, ask a question about this build if you want to. I'll answer whatever you ask to the best of my ability. And now I'm just snugging up the bolts, and we are going to let it sit. And I think I let it sit 2 days. We're going to let it sit a couple of days, and I think I said that on here. But yeah, we really wound up around 75 to 80. Well, we went a little over 80 inch pounds, 84 inch pounds, and we went 7 foot pounds. That's the maximum for these, so be careful with that, because it gets kind of iffy a little bit. You know, you feel like you're stretching or pulling out threads or something. You don't have to go that tight. So, like I said, we're going to let it set up 2 or 3 days, and now we're going to start torquing it, and I'm going to start torquing it at 40 inch pounds. And I've got it torqued down all the way around. And what I'm doing now is I take out each individual bolt after this thing is set up. Each individual bolt, and Loctite it, and put it back in and retorque it. And I do each individual bolt like that. The reason being is I don't disturb anything or anything like that. I've already bolted the cylinder on it to align the top of it. So all that's done. I did that off camera whenever I got it sealed up, just to straighten the top out, that's all. So, and at the end of this, towards the end of this video, we're going to run the porting numbers for the first time, or what this actual engine is. And I already already decked the cylinder to get a good squish. So all that's done. I caught the devil getting it cleaned up on the lathe, because it was like the metal was just really hard, and it had hard spots in it. It was inconsistent. It wasn't good casting. But we got a squish. I'm sorry, and 0.75 of a millimeter, and I kind of wanted a little bit more volume, so I didn't go any tighter than that. So what we're looking here is, I want to explain this. When I rotate this thing around to 11 and then rotate around 11 again, it's hitting that piston stop, and you could actually see it doing it. So once I got that lined up, then I can take the head off, put plastic spacers on, and we can see a little better into the cylinder and not looking through that head. So, but that's how you get this thing on center. You've got to one way stop, other way stop, average it to. If it's 20, then it's 10 on each side. Set your pointer right on that, and yeah. So now the exhaust port opens at 96 degrees, which is actuality if you're doing a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke scale, which I have both of them on here. That's from the 4-stroke, but actually it's 84. It opens at 84 degrees of bottom dead center. So we're looking at the transfers now, and they're opening at 64 or 116 if you go by the outside dial or the inside dial. So you got 64 and 64 of you got 128 degrees of transfer, which is not bad. That'll support up to 10,000 RPM. So, and the transfers open at 116, which is actually 64 if you go on one scale or the other scale. So there we go. So I got it posted up here now. So we got a transfer duration of 128, which is not bad. We got an exhaust duration. So that's 84 and 84, 168. We got exhaust duration of 168. And that gives us a blowdown of 20, which is not what we're going to end up with. We're going to end up with somewhere in the neighborhood of about 28 and a half to 29 to 30. So, but yeah, and we're going to look at the intake now. And the intake pretty much open and closed at 55 degrees. And most of them I've had do that. It's right around 55. So we're going to be windowing the piston because I've got a G2 reed system I'm going to put on it. And so yeah, it's like open and close at 55. The motor cleaned up good. The balancing on the crank come out good. The cases come out good. The end play on the crank or the thrust is good. We just got a little bit of porting to do. That's going to be in the next video. And I'm getting stuff in the mail all the time. And the intake opens and closes at 55 degrees. And I've had several of them do that. That's looking at the bottom of the intake port when it opens, and then when it closes, it opens at 45 and it closes at 45. And very smooth operation. It goes up and down. You don't feel any kind of vibration, drag, or anything. Very smooth, very smooth. So I don't think I need to mess with the transfers. Not going to mess with the intake, just mainly the exhaust is the only thing I'm going to do. And that's it, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And be careful, please.